Patron Games is the publisher of Distilled, a game that I like very much, that indeed survived the great game purge of 2023 when I donated more than 5,000 of my games. And so I was very excited when I saw that there was another big game coming out by them, Luthier, in which we play the role of family of musical instrument makers between the Baroque and the Romantic period. And it's a beast, as you can probably tell just by looking at the board and the amount of components. Amount of components usually proportional to the amount of rules. There's a beast. This is a very neat beast though, but it's going to be demanding to learn and to play. It's a worker placement game, so each player will have a number of tokens with numbers on them. And you start with tokens, let's say 1, 3, and 5. Tokens 2 and 4, with those values, will be unlocked later in the game, giving you more workers to place. You can also upgrade your tokens and give them special powers. You also have temporary workers representing diapers. I know these are not diapers, I know, but somebody picked up a token the first time we played and they were like, hey, this looks like a diaper. And that's how these have been called in my games, in my game group, and I think they will always be called that. So worker placement, there's going to be a phase at the beginning of each turn where you're going to place your workers face down to reserve different actions, just like so. And so there may be a stack of tokens here. Then we're going to go in turn order. There is a specific turn order and people will decide what action they take. And so when they choose which action on the board is going to be activated, and everybody who has a token there is going to take that action. Suppose I decide to go with perform, and yellow and blue also have actions there. When that is the case, you take this display, which in my group is called the stick of power or the stick of command, and you place all of those tokens there, and then you reveal them. The ones that have the highest value will go on this side, so you place them in order from highest to lowest, and when it comes to a tie, whoever got there first gets to then take their action first. And so you give this to the player who busted that piñata of tokens. They organize them, and then you take those actions in order. This is important because maybe everybody will take an action, then people look at each other like whose turn actually was it? And the person with the stick of power is the one, well, it's me, so now the next person can go. So this is a very important display. So that's the general idea. First we reserve these actions face down, trying to guess what the people are doing, and then we resolve them. When it's your turn, again, you bust a piñata and you resolve all of those actions. When it is your turn, you can also, instead of opening one of those things, go to the market. Each player can go to the market once per round, and we indicate that by placing this token here. At the beginning of the round, all the tokens of the player, the market tokens of the players go there, and you can place it there, and you can buy materials at the cost indicated there, which will change every round. The 3 materials you're going to need to make instruments or animal parts, wood and metal. As you can see, there can be quite a range. Ooh, maybe right now is the right time to buy metal, for example, because it can get quite expensive otherwise. When you go to the market, that's also when you can spend liras, that is money, to acquire diapers or to buy, or you can also replace money with inspiration tokens. It's simply another kind of currency that can be used to buy certain kinds of advantages. You can also spend 15 liras to advance on one of these tracks here. These tracks here that will unlock different kinds of advantages. That would be one, that would be another. During the game you'll do that. Now when you take an action, when it is time to resolve the actions and people reveal what they have, and if they added a diaper to it, when they reveal it, that simply means a +1. The diaper cannot go on its own. So if it's revealed that I had that and I have a value of 6. When you reveal your action and it's time to take the action, the value that you place there also indicates the quality of the action. So each action has two banners there. The first tells you what you can do there. If I reserve the performance, I'm gonna perform, or I can buy 3 animal materials. If, however, I place a total value there of 4 or more, I also advance on this track, again unlocking different kind of advantages. And so every action has the reinforced version of itself based on the value, but you cannot have high value everywhere. You also have a personal board. And on that personal board there is the possibility, there are 2 slots to make, to reserve 2 actions. This one is when you are roughing an instrument, that is, you just start building it, and this action here, you're gonna need, well, my other action tokens are somewhere on the board. And this other action here is when you finish it. So when you, first at the beginning of your round, you will place these instrument cards that you have in your hand back here. Before that, when they were in your hand, that was just the idea, the plan. I put it down here. By taking this action, which again has multiple versions, normal or better, by taking the action of roughing the instruments, I can place it here. By taking the action of finishing it, then the instrument is done. Several things happen. Have these tokens representing the finished instruments. I finish the instrument and I place it there in the orchestra. Ultimately, when people see that my instruments are being used in the orchestra, that's when my family becomes very popular. And so I built a lute, so it goes there. Now, if there is no other instrument there, my instrument goes in the first chair section of that space, which is the one on top, and I collect all of those advantages, animal parts and 2 lira, and I'm the first chair. Now the actions will also allow me to get in the orchestra. Maybe I repaired an instrument, and so people see, ooh, there's a clarinet repaired by Marco. That's popular. We're gonna use his shop now. Performance tokens. Ooh, Marco performed very well with the harpsichord. Boom. So repairing and performance also will give you those tokens, but they're not as powerful as the instrument, because if somebody else now creates an instrument of this type, say they built a clarinet and they place one of these tokens there, that will displace that there. There can only be one instrument as the first chair. The first instrument to get the first chair stays there. So these may or may not be still first chairs at the end of the game, but this one always will be. And this is super important because the number of first chairs you have at the end of the game will give you a significant amount of points. Another important concept in the game is patrons. These patrons, you're going to start with 1 and you'll collect more during the game. Each turn you will move that token by 1 space under the patron. The patron will give you the gift corresponding to the symbol there. This here, Taco Bell, we call him Taco Bell. So Taco Bell here will give me wood, and next turn will give me animal parts. And if it goes there, still haven't delivered after getting all these gifts, he gets annoyed and he leaves, and that loses me reputation. So what does he need to be happy before that happens? And by the way, there are game effects that allow you to push this one back that way. He wants me to build him a string instrument. Oh, that's why. Lute, that would work. Wants me to build him a string instrument, and then either to build another one or to perform some Baroque music, as indicated there, or to repair a string instrument. So different of these patterns will have different requirements. If I deliver all that he wants, I get 4 victory points, I get an advance on the prestige track on the balcony, and then also I flip this card and I put it under my display here with only the top showing, and different patterns will give me different advantages. For example, this will increase the value 1 for my roughing and finishing actions. So those are some of the main concepts, worker placement, and then we can see what some of those actions are. If we go here to the salon, then we're rubbing elbows with famous people, and so that's how you collect new patrons. Now when you collect these cards, some are level 1 and you can always access those. The one that have level 2 and level 3, you can access them only if you have acquired enough fame here by moving the tokens on this track. Right now I could get the cards level 2 or level 3. Well, I can also choose to get level 2 or level 3 by paying ridiculous amounts of resources, but that's the idea. Here's where I get my patrons, and with an action of value 4 or more, I also get a gift from a current patron, and I get to move one of these tokens to the left on my personal display. I think you remember why that is super important. Performing, the value that I place there is the starting value of my performance. And so suppose my performance is 4. Oh, I also get to advance on that track there. Very good. Then I need to roll die. I need to choose the performance I'm trying to perform. And these are the some of the options I would have right now. Suppose I want to go Baroque, because remember Taco Bell really likes it. When I'm performing, I will start, and the tray is not included. I start with these 2 dice here, performance dice, that have 1 and 2 notes, a single 3 note, and a blank. During the game, I may be able to replace them with black dice that are more powerful and also get to roll other things. And suppose I'm where I can roll these 2. I roll the dice, maybe I also unlock the ability to re-roll, and so I add the total that I rolled, 5 notes there, to whatever I had here. So now my performance is of quality 9, and simply I look at the card and it tells me what I get. With 9 here I get 5 liras. If I had been performing on this card with a 9, then I would get liras. I would get to place a performance token in the orchestra. Remember, I showed you those. Right there. And this would be in the romantic section. And I also get a victory point. So that's for performance. Balconies, when you take different kinds of actions, in particular, if you are fulfilling the requirement of these goals here, and you put different tiles based on the game, so great variety there. We got a number of different tiles there. So suppose I fulfill the requirements of one of those things, then I can place one of these tokens on the corresponding spot, and also that unlocks benefits on my whatchamacallit, unlocks benefits on my personal board. This also will determine turn for next round. So if you take the balcony action early, then you get to go earlier the following rounds, and you unlock different abilities here. The guild is where you get ideas for your musical instruments, so that's where you collect these cards. They usually will immediately go into your hand, and then they'll go to your roughing side of your personal board at the beginning of the next round, unless you take the action with a higher value. Then you collect any one instrument, any one material that you want, and you can also immediately put the idea down on your bench and repair. When you repair, then you simply collect one of these cards, and you need to pay the corresponding materials there. So if I want to repair the string instrument, I need to pay 1 animal piece, 1 animal material, and 1 wood. And then what it does, it gives you immediately victory points, and immediately gives you again one of these tokens to place in the orchestra. We saw that as well. If I take the action with value 4 or more, I also get advancement on this track. I didn't say it explicitly, but I think you probably figured it out. What are these materials for? Each instrument has a cost to pay 1 to rough it. That is, on top of selecting the action, you also need to pay the corresponding amount to place it from the roughing bench to the finishing side, and then another amount, possibly another amount or the same, and then other resources to complete the instrument. There's a lot going on, and this is the general idea, because this is a complicated game, but do everything. That's pretty much the strategy. Do everything and be good at it. Collect materials, collect patrons, perform well, place a lot of tokens here, trying to get a lot of things in your orchestra, especially in the first chairs. Collect victory points during the game. At the end, you'll collect more victory points from personal goals, from possibly some of the patrons turn into end game victory conditions, plus the number of first chairs that you have. Collect points from everywhere after 6 rounds, and the player with the highest score wins the game. Oh yeah, it's a beast, but what a beautiful beast. Beautiful visually to start with. The art is amazing, the production is off the charts, everything is just so great. It also comes with some little extra things, like there's a little stick here to threaten people. There's a tiny violin token that you can give to the player who lost the most. Production is great, and everything is so very functional. Everything is beautiful and it functions very well. It's gonna take a big amount of room on the table, of course. It takes a long time to set up, not so much to put away if you just put all the tokens of one type in a big bag, like all the blue and all the red, but then it's gonna be longer next time you set it up. It goes from 1 to 4, the box says. I played it only with 3 and 4 because 1, I wanted to try solo, and you have an AI that adds more steps, and I think the game is complex enough. I don't want to have to take more steps for the AI before I take my steps for me as a human playing the game. With 2 players, again, there is 2 players also, you have some extra things that you need to do. I believe it's a notional 3rd player. So ultimately you know from the rulebook that the game is meant for 3 or 4, because that's when you have the fight for position, that's when you have the fight for priority, that's when you're trying to do your things while everybody's trying to do their things in a situation of very limited resources and opportunities, and that's when it's really fun, really tension. I want to get that bonus there, but then I risk going late on that action, and what does that represent? Well, you don't know exactly what the people are trying to do. Real fun. So, however, with 4 players, just know, especially the first time that you played, it's gonna take long. It's gonna take long. It took us, like, we started at 8 p.m. And took about 40 minutes maybe for a learning session, and then we played until midnight or past that, and the game was very long. Then we played again with 3 players, and I was like, okay, this is it. With 3 players who know the game without the learning session, then we're able to play it in 2.5 hours, and we have all the epic scope, all the excitement, all the nice brain burn, and that's it. To me, this is going to be a 3-player game, hopefully with people who already know it, because frankly, if other people have played it once or twice and you're playing for the first time, you're going to get crushed and you're going to slow down the game. That's the way it is. You have to either learn it on your own or get a group, everybody's learning it together, or have a really generous friend who just teaches you the game and plays a game with you to then induct you into the circle of proficient players. Because now the 3 of us who know to play the game, we want to play it more. I think we're going to have a little Luthier club in which we take turns hosting, which means spending the time to set up the game, and then we play it, and we just have a dedicated Luthier game night, because it's great. Because then when all the things go together, when the stars are right, then what you have is this really engaging space of decision, which again is tough, is tight, and it can be punishing. In particular, a single patron leaving and start giving you 1-star reviews online, or that's what it would do if that was today. It's bad. It's bad because you lose the prestige for that one, and you lose the advantages that you would gain from fulfilling that patron, so you may miss a victory condition at the end. It can snowball there. So you really realize that you need to be careful with your decisions. You want to take your time. You want to make sure that everything is lined up. I have the materials to do our little repair, which gives me the materials to then rough this instrument, and then I can get the actions. I'm 1 action short to do that thing. But when everything goes together, is really satisfying, extremely satisfying. And also the game has a nice sense of progression. You're not doing the same thing, the same range of actions for like hours and for 6 rounds. but you unlock more advantages as you go up those reward tracks. You unlock better workers that now give you powers as you go there. You unlock other kind of abilities from the patrons you completed, and so you really have the sense that it was all worth it, and by the end you're doing these almost like quote unquote more epic things or combos. You unlock a certain reward, you take control of a chair. It's fun to get there. So definitely a game for committed players, but you have a game with great components, with great mechanics, and just with a tree of decisions and a system of rewards that really makes it worth it to spend the time and the mental energy. This is what great gameplay looks like. Interesting decisions that are rewarding and tough, and they're just fun to implement with the right crowd. So yes, Luthier, it's a beast, and I'll tell you, this game may not get played very often, but when it will get played, it will be loved because it's a beautiful, beautiful beast.